times.
I think that's why British humor is the best. Boring.
It's true. We on the Athletes Podcast, we aim to educate and entertain. I was telling the guys earlier, I'm like, you're definitely gonna be able to entertain people watching today. But let's dive into that, because you said you don't focus on the negative aspects. Like, tell me about that.
Well, I don't know. Well, look, if it was me back in the day, right now my fight got canceled. I would still be sitting here. 2 months of preparation, money spent, my career, my fight didn't happen, and I would be focusing on all these bad things that they eat my energy. And that's it. You just sit at home for like a week, 2 weeks, and then you're just fucking depressed. But like over at some point in my life, to be honest, I don't know when. Maybe when I gain more knowledge and I could access information, access the things that happened to me. Maybe at that point I realized that, you know what? How about I focus on positive things out of every bad thing? There's some even horrible things. Right off the bat, I start looking into what's positive, or why could it happen, or what could it be, and then maybe in a few days I would be like, something would happen in a few days, and I'll be like, I could refer to the past negative event and be like, okay, the reason this positive event happened, just because of that negative event, and then look, I got depressed, contacted one of my buddies. He works for First Round Management, and I was like, fuck, is there any way I can get him, because they usually scout some crazy, like some blowing up star, because at this point they're the best in the business. And I just told him, you know what, fuck, and can I get signed, whatever. He's like, come to Florida. I came to Florida, and I actually had another meeting there in Florida, so I was like, oh fuck, it's perfect, it plays out. So I went to Florida, got signed, got very surprised that I got signed, because at currently the way my career is going, they should contact me. There's no way you can just message First Round Management and be like, oh, can you sign me again? Be like, who the fuck are you? If we haven't heard about you, like that you're like fucking the biggest and best, then we're not gonna sign you. I will be the biggest and best very soon. So now that I'm signed, and so thank God that cancellation happened. That led me to this moment. Yeah,
I think everything happens for a reason, man. I think that's
I truly believe that. Yeah.
Right? It's crazy, and it may sound cliche, but when those doors open or close, whatever happens, it happens for a reason, and it's ultimately what you make of that opportunity once it presents itself, right?
Exactly. It's all how you observe it. The bad is only bad because you observe it as bad.
Yeah. So how did you gain that knowledge? Like, was it from reading? Is that from talking with people, podcasts?
I think it's just everything together. Is just access people in the different countries, because I lived literally today. Well, right now it's 14 years I've been in Canada, and I'm 28, so 14 years I've been in Russia, so it's a 50-50, and I haven't lost any contacts, any friends in Russia, so I live exactly like same exact life as I live right now. Like, I know I have a bunch of friends in Canada, I have exact same thing in Russia, so I go back and forth every year, and then I guess I assess the way the people behave. I assess bad people there, good people there, and then bad people here and good people here, and then just obviously reading, watching even movies, and then like getting all the information and being like not biased. That's the only way you can actually get the proper information, is being unbiased in anything, in any topic. Because if you're biased, you will ignore the other side of any topic, right? So, but I'm never biased, and I accept everything. And to be honest, I don't know when it happened, but it just happened. And I right away like, oh fuck, it's a bad thing, but why is a bad thing happening right now? And I'll be like, oh shit, look, because of this bad thing, I didn't go to party to this house, I went to party that house. And fucking that house, I met some fucking cool motherfucker, and then here we go.
So what was it like growing up in Russia? I mean, compared to if you've spent half your time here in Canada now, half your time growing up in Russia, what was the difference like for you growing up over there compared to what you see now here in Canada in comparison? What is the difference? Like, go into detail, because you hear horror stories of what it's like growing up in Russia from a Canadian perspective, and especially the part of Russia that I'm from. All the horror stories would only apply to that part. Really?
Yeah, it's just because it's from there's a Caucasian mountains.
Okay. And
we have a bunch of republics there, which be like Habib, obviously. So the Republic of Dagestan, Republic of Chechnya, and then there would be Republic of Ossetia, which is mine. But we're all considered people that came from the Caucasus Mountains. Okay. So the word Caucasian actually refers, even if you will Google it in Wikipedia right now, has nothing to do with white people.
Okay.
So whenever you would be like, I'm Caucasian,
Yeah.
to be honest, not. Because Caucasians are actually the people that came from the Caucasus Mountains. So we're the first Caucasians. And I can claim that. You can Google it, fact check it.
Jordo, let's see what you can do.
Fact check that, Caucasian.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, so right now I guess Caucasian is just white people, but
Yeah, it's like white skin of European origin.
from the Caucasian Mountains. Yeah, but
Yeah.
from the Caucasus Mountains, right?
Let's take a look.
Caucasian and
Yeah, we'll take.
Jordan, you can pull it up on the screen too for those who are just listening.
Yeah.
But I mean that is something that should be brought up. Like, you're from that same area. Khabib, obviously, there's stories of him growing up wrestling bears. Like,
yeah.
is
And
that
that is identical. The only difference between us is religion and the language. Because we do have an Ossetian language. Dagestan is people that have Dagestani language. And we all speak Russian, but other than that, it's identical. Like, Dagestan is like 30 minutes from us.
So what crazy stories do you have growing up then?
The crazy story, well, I've seen death.
Mhm.
I've seen, I mean, our high school has been hijacked by a terrorist for 3 days. 286 kids were killed. So it's like it happened, and it happened literally down the street. So, like, it's pretty much bigger than 9/11. The biggest terrorist attack has ever happened in Russia. That was that,
Oh,
and that was happening like down the street. So I mean, just seeing this and then even communicating with people that been there. So right now, we would contact them. We would see how damaged they are. Like fucking 10 or 15 years past. And then I mean, all of this stuff. Pretty much, you're surviving. You're living there. People, yeah, everybody would drive a fucking Lamborghinis in there on the roads that even a tank can drive on. It's like, it's just the roads are just all fucked up, but the Lamborghini drives. But I mean, you're still not living. You're kind of surviving there, and I think that's a difference because people here. Which I want in the world. I want the positive, like how the Canadian mentality, Canadian like positive way. Like, nobody's surviving. Everybody kind of born in a good environment. And then even if some people say surviving, it's like it's a baby food for Russia. What do you mean? Oh, it's like, oh fuck, I got in a fight outside. I got arrested. I'm like, that's not surviving. Surviving isn't fucking like your people, your mother, like, or your parents don't have fucking money to feed you. That's surviving. I mean, yeah, so that's the biggest difference. People over there, nobody's been nobody's been fed with a spoon or
yeah, fed with a silver spoon. Or
silver spoon,
food,
yeah,
like,
yeah, and which is not a good thing to be proud of, but it's just the reality. I wish the whole world would be like in Canada, but
Right.
unfortunately, we live in a world where 80% is shit.
Yeah.
And half of it wants to destroy Canada.
At least 80%, right?
At least 80%, actually. Yeah, you're right. It's even more.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's a difference.
You've seen a lot of stuff, eh? I mean, you were also there. We talked about it on episode 14 with Clayton Pye, but
Oh, he was here.
so yeah, he was one of the OGs from the Brock.
Yeah,
University
he told you the
days.
story where he almost died and I saved his life.
Yeah, well,
Here's an example. That's a big story for him. I keep telling, he's still talking, but I'm telling Clayton, that's maybe that was a big story for me at 5 years old. See, for him, it's still a big story. That's the difference.
Yeah, well, I think getting stabbed is kind of a big story. Like, in
Yeah,
most
kind of.
people's books, maybe not for you, but
Yeah.
for most people, that would be a life-changing moment. And I think
Yeah.
he was able to overcome that pretty well, playing with one arm and competing, and he did a pretty good job. But
Yeah.
obviously, you have witnessed a lot. How do you think that's prepared you for what you do in the sport of mixed martial arts?
I guess subconsciously that prepared me to the fact that one of my coaches the other time just said that, a lot of people come here, pretend to be fighters, and it's hard to coach them to just take somebody's fucking head off, or like for the fight somebody you dropped him and you just go for the kill. It's hard to teach that. And he didn't say it straight up to me. He said it on one of the videos about me, and he said that you have that you knew you were like a fighter, and that I kind of realized that, well, maybe that's the way the life that I live. Maybe that's what it gave me.
Mhm.
And then the other time, it was one of my very closest friends. He's in my corner. He's from back home. He's from Chechnya, Republic of Chechnya. And then right before the fight, he told me, he's like, Vlad, listen. You've seen death. You've seen people in Toronto try to stab you a bunch of times. You've seen people, like 10 people try to kill you, and you're fighting them off on the street. Because he's been with me in those situations, and he said, you've been through so fucking much. And he's like, and now you look at your opponent. Like, how the fuck you even thinking? Why are you even getting the nerves? Go in there and just destroy him. I went in there, 30 seconds, knockout. I think those things do, and then that's how I started realizing. See, again, I analyzed past events, I analyzed that, and I was like, holy shit, I guess my life did kind of give me a little advantage
For sure.
in the violent sport of MMA, like it is.
Yeah, I think anytime you're exposed to that kind of violence and just raw aggression, obviously you're going to be able to kind of use that to your abilities in the future. I mean, you also are a translator, so you get to see it from the competition side in the ring, and then you also get to translate for guys post-game, or I guess post-fight, whatever it would be. How do you balance that, like, with your training schedule? That's kind of a unique thing not many guys are doing.
It has affected, like, the last 3 Fight Islands.
Yeah.
Has affected it because I haven't fought in 18 months. So it did affect my career because those 18 months I could have fought about 3 times.
Yeah.
But I decided to, but I've been already working for the UFC for about 4 years, so it's not like it's the first time opportunity and I had to jump on it and just cancel all my life.
Right.
No, I just thought that with this COVID nothing is certain.
Yeah.
And then the amount of money that they offered me for the Abu Dhabi, for the Fight Island, I was like, fuck. So I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, the amount of money that I earned, even just one Fight Island show, it's more than I earned in my entire career.
Wow.
And then and then I had 3 of them. But prior to that, I was already working for about 3 years with the UFC. It's just I already knew it's a good money, but I never looked at the money
For sure.
aspect. If I ever looked at the money aspect, I would have retired a week after I started competing.
Yeah, you're doing it for the love of the sport.
Exactly. There's no money in the sport as of right now. It's not boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So at this stage that I'm in right now, 10 professional fights, there's still not money.
Okay, so that was I wanted to bring up the pro boxing, YouTube boxing. Like, what are your thoughts on that? We'll talk about Fight Island in a second, but boxing, like, what do you think right now? Logan Paul just happened.
Yeah.
Like, he was able to compete with Floyd for 8 rounds. Like, relatively held his own. Didn't get knocked out, which in my books is a positive. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It's a positive. That's a win for him.
Right.
It's a win of the lifetime.
Yeah.
Because, but you know what? I don't want to go into conspiracy this and about that. I feel like half of me is certain kind of thing that it's all been arranged.
Yeah.
Because Floyd Mayweather is the type of the guy that would, if he
It's 100 mil.
he picks the round and he would put him out. The only reason there's so much money involved, I guess, because of this betting companies, and then nobody would ever bet on the draw. So every single person that bet, they lost, and it was like a draw, right?
Yeah.
And but you know what? Fuck the conspiracy part about it. Let's focus on the fact that's it's a draw, and you know what? Some people say it's an embarrassment. Some guys is 0-1, and he fought the greatest of boxing. But you know what? I have a business mindset.
Yeah.
Aside of that athlete mindset, and I fucking respect that. Good for Floyd, good for Logan. Motherfucker made $20 million, another motherfucker made 105, and holy shit, man.
Right?
Just
you gotta get the bag.
Yeah, you can't even rub that fucking amount in your head.
Yeah.
Imagine.
No, for fighting one night and you're making that money, like, ridiculous. So I'm curious. I'm glad that you kind of have that opinion. I think people are losing sight of the fact that, like, that is life-changing amount of money for anyone.
They wanted to make money.
Yeah.
But they just fucking did it. Why people complaining? You still watched it. If you were so against this whole shit, you already knew it's a clown show.
Yeah.
It is a clown show, but you already knew it. But why you watch it?
It's a great point.
Yeah, and then they watch it, and then they're like, "Oh, this is embarrassment. It's for the sport, this and that." I'm like, "This, you know what? You're still sitting here, embarrassment for the sport." You know what Conor McGregor said? 1 week they hate you, they talk shit about you. 1 week they love you. Make sure you get paid both weeks. That's one of those things. Like fucking whatever. Let people talk shit. They made millions.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Who cares at the end of the day?
Exactly.
What I do care about is Fight Island. How crazy was it? Tell me about Abu Dhabi.
It's just beyond good. It's just I already knew that the UFC was on another level. I mean, everybody already knows it's on another level in the sport of MMA. I knew from the first hand that it's on another level because I've been sitting beside Joe Rogan 4 years ago and translating. And I already knew it's it's next level shit. The amount of money they spend, the amount of every detail, like for every single person. We see like Ian right here recording. There would be a guy behind Ian. Make sure Ian's just not sweating. I don't know. It would be another guy with a fucking like a fan. Everybody's there. They have like. There's so much like the crazy union. There's so many people at every little fucking thing. You're not gonna be picking up this box, and that box is meant to be picked up by somebody else. Yeah. So it's like for every little thing they have an employee. They pay them very good amount of money. They fly them everywhere. They treat athletes amazing. Again, it's those type of people that talk shit about Dana White not paying people enough. Come on, everybody's been at the stage where I am.
Yeah. And
if I go from the stage of a sport I am and I go to the UFC, I realize that, okay, now that's money. Mm-hmm. And then these people, they get 2 fights and they're like, oh, some Logan Paul made more than me. Because fucking Logan Paul did so much shit. Yeah. Who the fuck you think you are? You know, like, doesn't matter how, like, yeah, sure, that he doesn't pay a lot of athletes enough, but it's still a good amount of money. The way that they treated, they're not going to get treated like that in any other promotion. Yeah. And then I already knew that, but when I went to Fight Island, it blew my mind. Yeah. That it was 1,000 times. It was all that multiplied by 100.
Really?
Holy shit, man. The first of all, charter flights. They could have just packed the airplane and send everybody with one Etihad airplane. No, then I wanted to have 4, so everybody, so I can sleep on this 4 chairs, and then I can go sleep on another 4 chairs, like there's just nobody around me. And then they have a menu that says UFC, has a UFC logo. They walk around like they have Dana White sandwich on the menu. And you arrive, they put you in the best hotel. They cleared the whole island. The island is meant for like Formula 1, Ferrari, golfing. Like that island is huge. Hotels are everywhere. So that I was on that island before when Khabib fought Poirier. So the Fight Island is not a new thing. No, yeah. When Khabib fought Poirier in Abu Dhabi, that was on that island as well. But they just said Abu Dhabi. But now that island became like a new thing. No, the island already existed. And then I was there when it was packed. So they took thousands and thousands of those people, kicked them all out. They brought a special group, like a special group of workers for that hotel, for that island, just for us. They put them there 2 weeks before we arrived, so they can go do this quarantine and make sure they're all healthy. And then they taught them what to do. They blocked off the whole island, and then we landed. And then one time I was there for 30 days, another time 57 days, and then the last time was like only 10. And then yeah, so you see this, you have the whole island. Everybody just works for you. Everybody walks around. And extremely nice. I've never felt anybody being so nice to me.
I remember Steve will do it, and the Nelk boys said the same thing. Actually, they're like, man, they have everything covered here. As soon as we showed up,
everything.
So when you talk about UFC and Dana White paying people well, it takes a certain level to get to the UFC. Like Anthony Romero, who we had on here in episode 40, mm-hmm. He was close to that. He was in the competitor series, and then didn't make it, even though I think he dominated that fight. I don't know if you remember which one, but he performed so well, deserved to get it, and didn't end up receiving it. How difficult is it to be in a sport that is so subjective?
Okay, UFC also has the best fighters, right? And UFC also is a money making, like it's a business. Mm-hmm. At this point, you need a show, and then yes, Romero from a MMA point of view, skill wise, he's unreal. He performed, obviously he dominated. He performed this and that, but did he do enough? We all knew that he didn't, because everybody knows what Dana White expects, and which is sure. Some people might say it's not a good thing because they expect trash talking, show, knockouts. And then a fighter like Romero, the humble guy that just fucking good everywhere, didn't get what we say he deserved. But okay, let's be unbiased.
Right, fair enough.
And then if I'm his friend, I know him since he's a little kid, so I want to still be unbiased and say like, yeah, Dana White didn't sign you because he wanted, most likely he wanted some either knockout or he wanted
A little extra pizzazz.
Yeah, or maybe he didn't want you to be as humble as you are. Maybe he wanted you to be like, fuck this guy, I'll knock him out. Or I don't know. Maybe it's like that's what makes money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this world, that's why YouTubers make money. That's why all this shit's happening. So you gotta adopt. You gotta play by the rules. You know what is expected. So do it. If you can't like guarantee the knockout, do some sort of trash talking. Or trash talking doesn't have to be like just personality. Some people don't have that personality.
Yeah.
So I think maybe one of those things played a role. Also, I also think maybe his management, because he switched it right now. He had a manager. Maybe that manager is just not is a plan B type of guy. Maybe that manager, because everybody there's only few management companies that are big that they almost like not guarantee, but with them you get into UFC.
Yeah.
And then he was with some guy that maybe they didn't like him.
So you got to rub off a bit of your energy to him then, given because you have no issues telling anyone your point of view on them.
No, never, and that is who I am, and Ian knows exactly like that.
I've heard some stories.
Some people might like me, some people might not like me, but I'm still who I am, because the people that like me, they know that what I'm not gonna just be like, see you fucked up, and I'll be like, hi, everything's good. No, you fucked up. I tell you fucked up. I think that's is very valuable, and that's what I expect from other people. When you see like a booger in my nose, I fucking tell me. Don't fucking be like,
oh, I forgot to mention. No.
Yeah, so that's who I am. Just an asshole, as straight up as they come.
Hey, well, it's unfortunate that I don't know. There's pros and cons, because again, from the business perspective, like I understand, and even now I think it's in UFC's compensation package. Like, how much do you generate on social media as far as traction is concerned? I know that you're tracking that, and like how much you're bantering back and forth with your competitors, because for a guy like Anthony, he's so humble and doesn't say anything, goes in there, does his job, does what's needed to be done, and gets out, because he knows that he's only got a finite amount of time to compete at this level, right? So it's a shame, because you don't want to have a guy come out of his shell like that, and that affects the way he competes too, right? At the end of the day. Yeah. So that's got to be frustrating as a competitor. For me, as like playing team sports growing up, I would be frustrated. So that's why I was curious from your perspective. It's good.
Yeah, because for you it's like a team play. So whoever promotes you, they promote you as a team. Mm-hmm. So they would not like just dive into deep in everybody's personality until there's like in soccer, Cristiano Ronaldo pops up. Yeah, he carries the whole team after, but like they focus on the team and the logo. Yeah. So and that's much easier. So half of them could be humble. They don't have to just be born different or as a personality wise, or act different.
Right. Yeah. What were some of the misconceptions? Is something that we bring up all the time, is like when you were a kid growing up, if you imagined being an MMA competitor, competing in the UFC, Bellator, wherever it was, what did you expect, and what is maybe different now, knowing that you're in this position?
What do I expect from the?
What did you expect growing up that's different now that you've actually been in those boots and competing?
I to be honest, I didn't even expect none of that. It just happened.
Really?
I did not expect. I did not want to be. I trained back home just because everybody does, and literally it's just as fucked up as this.
When did you start?
That's probably maybe I was 8, 9, but I didn't train as like I will be competing. I just trained and skipped sometimes. I just trained just because I had to fight on the street, and I just knew that I had to know some sort of skills, because fights on the street is almost every day. And I realized that holy shit, let's resume training, because I have to still be able to defend myself, because the fights are always gonna happen. And then at some point, like 9 years ago, I moved to Niagara, to Brock University. Fuck, I think is it 9 years ago already, man? That time just flies. It's crazy. And then I didn't know anybody, and I was like, fuck, I was bored. And I found an MMA gym, and then just went in there and just started like right off the bat performing good and just doing good from the first day. And I was like, holy shit, if I can do that. And then people were like, oh, why don't you just compete? Started doing amateur, just start winning easily. For some reason, amateur career, everything just went like this easy. I didn't even sweat in my fights. And then and then I was like, fuck, okay, I guess it is my career now. It is my path. And then working for the UFC and all those things that come to my way, I guess maybe my personality somehow brings it that way, but a lot of it was being at the right place at the right time. So there is luck, I guess. But also, you know what? The luck, just because of who I am, put me in that situation, and then that luck just generated. So it's not really luck.
That's the way I look at it too.
Yeah.
It's not, you're putting yourself again in those positions to be successful.
Exactly.
Another thing that you do to put yourself in a successful position is Phenom Doc, working with Callum Cowan. You go up to Burlington, you get the IVs put in. We just had it a couple weeks ago. How much do you like doing that? Ian said you came back a different person some nights. Yeah,
I love it. I did it. You know, to be honest, I've never used it for just a personal, like just on a day-to-day thing with those IVs. I do go to him all the time for vitamin D injection, which fucking, it's amazing.
Right.
I truly know there's a rumor that vitamin D doesn't, in a pill form, doesn't absorb in your body. And that's actually true. Doesn't matter how many vitamin D you take, you're not gonna feel what you feel after that injection. And then it just, it takes pain away. So for that I go there. For B12 injections, I go to him, even though I can do it myself, but I'm scared of needles. Yeah. So.
How is a guy like you scared of needles?
I don't know. I'm scared of caterpillars.
Oh.
If you fucking show caterpillar, man, you will see me like turning.
Goddamn butterflies.
Yeah. Butterflies are cute. Caterpillars, oh my god, man! I fucking ran out of the room because it's my phobia for some reason in my head. Actually, I know the reason, but we'll go there after. So, that guy is amazing. We need more people. We need more doctors like that.
Right.
Because in Russia, for all the athletes, there's a performance doctor. Here, there's just a family doctor, and then in Ontario, I think Colum is the only guy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very limited amount of doctors.
Yeah. In
that for what he does. You need somebody to watch, like, take your blood to see, like, what maybe you're eating something wrong. Somebody, like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be. You need to be an elite athlete, and then he's good.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate having been able to work with him, spend some time, chat with him. Like, I don't know, that episode, even when we chatted with him, it was crazy.
He was here?
We went up to his studio in Burlington. It was sick. He's got a good facility, and he's an amazing guy. It's awesome. And, like, from a performance standpoint, it's so needed. Like, he says even guys at the elite of the elite, in the NHL, whatever level they're playing, like, they improve by ridiculous numbers just by eliminating some things from their diet, adjusting when they're taking certain foods. Like, you don't know until you look at that data.
He always posts a thing, you don't know how good you feel until you start feeling good, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
When you start feeling good, you're like, okay, I felt bad before.
Right.
Yeah. It's like me after chiropractor. First time I went to chiropractor, I realized that I've been in pain for about 6 years before that I went to see him. Wow. It just kind of numbs. Right now, I sit like this and I feel like I'm not in pain. No, it's just subconsciously, without me knowing, my body numbed that realization of that pain, but I'm in pain constantly. You know, like I have like injuries everywhere. Like here, injury here, I had a surgery, L5S1 disc protrusion. My rib is always popping out. Like, this is new injury. I had like this, some security guards, maybe you've seen the video, try to arrest me, so they pop my fucking bone out. So I'm in pain constantly, but I don't feel that until I now I start feeling it. You know, so it's like your body kind of like learns how to stop.
Our body becomes accustomed to things so fast.
Yeah, yes,
right?
Exactly. That's a good way to say it.
Whether it's, caffeine or whatever, like any drugs, like once you start doing things on a consistent basis, your body's like, okay, we're gonna have to adjust to what this is doing to us and try and work effectively to still perform. Vlad, this has been a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect from this episode. I've learned a lot. I've laughed a ton. The question we ask every guest before they leave is what their biggest piece of advice would be to the next generation of athletes. I'm sure you're going to have a unique answer, and I can't wait to hear it.
You see, sometimes I give people like an answer like that, but I'm no position to tell people an answer because they expect that answer from a top of like John Jones, or they expect that answer from Habib. Who the fuck am I to give that answer? Because I haven't accomplished what I need to give that answer to people. But from what experience so far up until the point I am in my career, the biggest thing would be just don't be. If you do it, just do it till the end. Okay. And that's where I am right now. I don't know if I'm like, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of doubts been coming into for the past like 4 years for me. But you found the path, just fucking do it. Ignore everything
Vlad, this was a blast. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. Nice to meet you.
We'll definitely be doing this again in the future. Appreciate you coming on. What is this, 86, 87?
87. Holy shit, it's a lot of fucking episodes. I gotta catch up.
Yeah.
Keep watching that.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks, for tuning into the 87th episode of the Athletes Podcast featuring Vlad Kazbekov. He is a very, very cool human being. Someone who was just real and raw, didn't sugarcoat anything. Sincerely appreciate him coming on the Athletes Podcast on short notice. I know how hard it can be to share insights and what it goes in and is required to be a professional athlete. So we appreciate Vlad and taking out time out of his day. Jordan Maslin is our producer. Ian Singleton is our videographer. I'm David Stark, your host. Thank you guys for tuning into the Athletes Podcast. This is episode 87. Hope you enjoyed. Take care. Bye.